Hello, my name's Karima and I'm the Pollinator Project Officer at Hampshire Countryside Service. We're at Buriton for our series Conserving Our Wild, where we tell you all that we're doing to look after nature so that nature can look after us. In today's episode, we're covering the topic of pollinators and the vital role they play in nature's recovery. Come with me to learn more. So what is pollination? Well, pollination is the means by which most plants reproduce. They need to transfer the pollen from the male part of the flower to the female. And this is done in a lot of different ways, but in the vast majority of cases, this is done by insects. Insects will visit the flower for the reward of the sweet nectar, and in the process, they'll transfer pollen from flower to flower. We call these insects pollinating insects or pollinators, and I think most people are aware now that bees are pollinators, but there are lots of other types of insects that are also pollinators, and that's not just bees, but it also includes wasps, flies, especially hoverflies, beetles, butterflies and moths. Sadly, populations of pollinators are on the decline. Many species have already become extinct and many more face extinction. If we lose pollinators, we're not only going to lose plants and diversity in our wider environment, but it's also going to impact directly on us and the food we eat. As much as 75% of world crops rely on pollination and pollinators for their production. So at Hampshire Countryside Service, we've made a pledge for pollinators. We're doing everything we can to manage our land better to help pollinators. But as part of this pledge, we also want to help and support others to do the same. And I got the chance to visit Buriton village and look at the amazing work they're doing there to help pollinators. So come with me as we head over there and speak to Doug. We're here in Buriton today, a village 2 miles south of Petersfield. So Doug, tell me, why are we here today?
Well, Buriton was one of the 6 communities that volunteered to be one of the initial pilot groups for this pollinator project. We wanted to help declining species of pollinators thrive and recover. So what we've done, we let the grass go long and we learnt that you have to cut it really short and then take all the cuttings away rather than letting them add nutrients to the soil, so that the rarer species get a chance to come through. And then we've sown something called yellow rattle, which we learnt would kill off some of those most invasive species of grass. And again, giving wildflowers that are probably already there in the soils the chance to come through, and in turn, that's exactly what the pollinators need.
So you mentioned that you've planted yellow rattle here.
Yes, that's right. It's just something else you advised us about from the Countryside Service. It seems to have done remarkably well. We planted just before the winter time and it's covered a huge area here.
Yeah, so not a lot of people understand just how great yellow rattle is. So grass is a really tough plant, that's why we use it in all these places where we've got a lot of footfall, and it can be quite difficult to establish wildflowers where you've already got grass because the grass is so hardy. So yellow rattle is a parasitic plant that actually takes all the nutrients from the grass and helps to kill it off, allowing those wildflowers to thrive and come through. Is there anything else you've done on the recreation ground?
Well, yes. We've planted some new hedgerow plantings in a space that was getting rather gappy. We've also built a wonderful bug hotel, or some of the residents here have built that. It's a wonderful thing, and we can already see lots of pollinators using that at different times of year. And we have a big annual hay day that we call it, when we cut this long grass. We get all the community out here with their rakes and their wheelbarrows, and they scrape all those scrapings away to let the seeds that have dropped out of the yellow rattle come into flower and help keep those grasses down.
And what about monitoring? Have you done any surveys here?
We have. I mean, the County Council's Countryside team have been really helpful, giving us tips and advice as to what to look for and how to do it. We started off with surveys of the soil to understand what our soils were likely to support. We then learnt a bit about the plants that we'd hope to find, the wildflowers that are likely to support pollinators in different months of the year, because we need to be providing habitat not just those lovely yellow and pink flowers in the summer, but all the way from spring right through to October if we can. So we've learnt what to look out for in those and record them. And most recently we've learnt how to actually identify a range of the important pollinators, so that we're going to try and count them, not perfectly every year, but so as we can get a trend to see whether we're making things better or at the very least keeping things as good as they are now.
And I believe you're taking a lot of action with the local community as well.
Yes, we're trying to engage as many people as we can to help them understand why pollinators are important to us all and how they can help. And obviously there's millions of gardens in this country and everybody can do their bit in their own back garden. They don't have to rewild it and make it look completely untidy, but just little bits here and there, providing water, shelter, somewhere for the bugs and beetles to breed, as well as their nectar and pollen sources. Everybody can do their bit.
So are there any particular flowers and plants that you'd recommend for people to have in their garden?
One of the most important things is to try and make sure there's something through as many months of the year as possible. So have succession flowering from different plants. Crocuses, primroses and things are great in the early part of the year. Marjoram as well is fantastic. In the summer there's loads of choice. Use something like the RHS, who gives really good guidance on this. And in the autumn months then things like ivy are still fantastic for a great range of pollinators through their flowers, and later for their berries for birds as well. It's sometimes people need to remember that the beautiful showy plants that we've bred over centuries aren't necessarily the best things for pollinators. They're too difficult for them to get the nectar out of.
Yeah, and quite often native plants are the ones to go for, aren't they? Because they're the ones our pollinators have kind of evolved alongside.
Absolutely. Everything we recommend here, everything we're trying to encourage people to do here is native, yeah.
So how have Hampshire Countryside Service supported you in all of this?
Well, they've been really helpful from the outset. I mean, we were keen to volunteer, but we knew not very much at all, really. So we've had training, we've had support, we've had samples of wildflower seeds we might consider using and so on. One of the best things they've done for us is connect us with other communities trying to do similar things nearby and further afield across Hampshire. We can all learn from each other and pinch each other's bright ideas. It's been really, really helpful.
At Hampshire Countryside Service, we manage over 80 sites, including national and local nature reserves and sites of special scientific interest. So our pollinator pledge is to maintain these sites for the benefit of pollinators. That might include enhancing chalk grassland sites like Butser Hill, or it might be the way that we look after woodlands, such as managing woodland rides for the benefit of biodiversity, or ensuring that we leave deadwood for the benefit of insects. The Pollinator Pledge is our invitation to you to join us in these efforts. I'm here with farm owner Gabrielle, and I'm going to ask her about the work that's being done to support pollinators and how they became involved in the Parish Pollinator Pledge. So can you tell me more about the Selborne Landscape Partnership?
We are 27 farms in 16,000 acres of joined up landscape. And the farms are many different varieties. There are cattle farms, dairy farms, there's the lavender fields, there's Chawton House, there's all sorts of different habitats. But we all have one pledge, which is the nature recovery. And we've all agreed to have what we call corridors between the farms. And these are places where insects and mammals and reptiles can all flow freely between the farms.
So what type of farm is this?
We have hay meadows on this farm, and we make hay here. We also have a livery yard and we have horses. And I'm trying to find the balance between having areas for wildflowers coming into the hay meadows, and making sure also that we can earn some kind of income to sustain all of this.
So what steps exactly have you done to help support pollinators?
I came into all of this about in 2001 when we had a small holding in North Wales, and I discovered how much there was a lot of grants available for having wildflower meadows because we were losing them so rapidly. And one of the problems about here is the soil is very fertile. Yeah. And wildflowers don't grow on very fertile soil. We fertilise the soil so much, it's very difficult for wildflowers to compete with grass. And the grass obviously is grown to feed the animals so that we can make hay. But on the other hand, we don't get this opportunity to see our wildflowers thrive and to support the insect population again. And then, of course, everybody else who eats the insects.
So that's one of the key things that you're doing, is you're encouraging wildflowers in your hay meadows.
I have made an enormous effort, and it is an effort, we all have to make that effort, to put wildflowers in every patch that's not used for making hay. I would very much encourage the join up, because we are joined up in the landscape as farmers. And then the next thing for us was say, well, we need all these stepping stones between the farms, which of course are the villages, the graveyards, the playgrounds, your gardens, to be stepping stones for these insects to feed on. And they don't survive if we don't have flowers and wildflowers everywhere. I think if you're a keen gardener and you love your garden, it might mean that you feel also very warm towards some of our wildflowers when you see what benefit they bring to nature recovery.
So how have you come to be involved with the Parish Pollinator Pledge?
Because the Selborne landscape is so joined up as a group, as the partnership is very connected, we then realised that it's all very well us all doing this, but what about the connection with the parishes, with the council, with local members who are running garden clubs and wanting to know more? How do we link into all of that? And so somehow you and I met, which is great, and I discovered how much Hampshire County Council are doing. And one of our subgroups, which I'm in, wanted to have a way of meeting with all these other groups of people who long to get involved in some form of nature recovery, but didn't know how to join up. And, you know, my hope is that through you and through the council, we'll get this incredible join up, which perhaps is a new beginning for the countryside and the new beginning for us as in the UK. There are a lot of cluster farms, but I don't know how they're joined up with the council. And you could be one of the starting points for that, which is why I'm so excited about doing this today.
Thank you, Gabrielle. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. It's been really informative, and we're really looking forward to working with you further in the future.
Karima, it's an absolute pleasure. It's such fun working with you, and it's been very interesting for me to come to the meetings that you've been hosting, and I'm really looking forward to more connection with you all.
Thank you for watching this episode of Conserving Our Wild. Please be sure to like, comment and subscribe to get more videos like this. We'll put links in our description about our pollinator pledge and about all the things you can do at home to help. See you next time.